Daredevil fans, we are here to analyze Born Again episode 4. A few clues in this episode show that Fisk and Vanessa may be headed for a huge confrontation. This video will contain spoilers. So the obvious clue is that Fisk has locked up Vanessa's, the guy she was having an affair with, Adam, in a basement in the subway somewhere. But did you catch this one? When Fisk visited the Red Hook shipyard, he announced plans to revitalize that location, which he probably just wants to control it for criminal activities. But did you recognize that name Red Hook from a previous episode?
No.
Okay, so in the first episode, when we first see Vanessa, she's sitting there at a table with like the head of the five families, I guess, or some criminals, right? She's running this criminal organization. There's paintings around the room, and there's almost like this shipping container door. And Fisk pulls that up, walks through, and interrupts her whole meeting. Well, she had just been talking about these earnings they made, like $1.7 million or something. And she mentioned the Red Hook. I think she controls that territory. So that's a big part of her criminal organization. And here Fisk shows up and he suddenly wants to basically take it over, right? Now, that location is significant in the comics. Madame Gao tried to buy it because she wanted whoever controls that port basically controls like shipments. So they can traffic arms, they can traffic drugs, weapons. And I wondered if it's the same port we saw in Daredevil season 1. But this is her business, and we've seen Fisk kind of force her to take a back seat to him. I wonder if he's about to, make the time bomb of their marriage explode by moving in on her territory. What do you guys think?
I think he wants to. I don't know if he's. I think he's still wanting to be good. I don't know if he's planning on rebuilding all this for criminal. He may do things, on the side or outside the law to get this, but I think he's just really wanting to clean the place up and everything. But when he finds out that his wife has a lot to do with it, then yeah, things could get interesting.
Yeah. I can imagine that his wife might be pretty mad if he takes over her territory.
Yeah.
I'm really wondering what he wants to do with it, because I'm not convinced that he's a good guy, or he's turned a new leaf. Obviously, he says he can't forgive, and he obviously can't forgive Adam for the affair. What do you think that she's gonna do when she finds out that Fisk has been keeping her lover in like this cage?
No, I don't know anything about this guy, so
I don't either.
I mean,
no one does. Yeah, that's the thing. It's all happened in between.
I mean, as far as she knows that he's just up and gone. I bet she has suspicions about what actually happened. I mean,
oh yeah,
she's not dumb, so she knows that he probably either offed him. She's probably just thinks he's dead.
Yeah, I saw, the look on her face when she asked, like, Wilson, should I be afraid of you, or should I be concerned that you would hurt me? Like, you can see fear on her face. Like ever since he showed up in episode 1, it's like she doesn't really want him to be there, or she's uncomfortable. I almost wonder if he ran for mayor just to try to get her back. Because when I was watching episode 1 again last week, and at the end when he says, "I love New York," it's like he can't believe the words coming out of his mouth. So I don't know why did he even run for mayor? I wonder if like everything is about making her think that he's great. I don't know.
Well, that it's also the biggest position of power in the city, so he can do what he wants to do. So that's probably his main motivation for being mayor.
Yeah, but going back to Echo, from what I've read, I haven't watched him, but he was very calm at the end of that season, right? Echo kind of helped him in a little bit, and I know she didn't use her powers to completely calm his mind, but he claims that he was calm.
Yeah.
So I still think he believes that he's doing good and he wants to be a positive person for the city and do things right. He just doesn't know how. And his anger is so intense that when he gets into a situation like he was back in the day, it just overtakes him, and then he beats somebody up or kills somebody or puts them in a cage or cuts their head off with a car door.
He's got a long way to go.
He still has that rage when he found out that secret information was leaked. I mean, he was about ready to bust some heads.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He still has that rage. He doesn't know how to control that. And that's what's going to make him continue doing bad things. He wants to be, I think he wants to be good. He wants to be a positive person. He just doesn't know how. And with him surrounded by so many evil people, with his wife, the people working for his wife still don't know about this intern or whatever. I can't think of his name right now, but the Daniel. Yeah. Because that character in the comic books is somebody completely different.
Involved in Mars. Right?
Yeah, he's from Mars. He's a Martian in the comic
I don't think they're going to go that route in this series.
It doesn't seem like it, but you never know. So
yeah,
there's something
theory
going on
about Vanessa, though. Tell viewers what you think is going to happen.
I think when it comes down to this Red Hook and everything else, they're going to come head to head towards the end of the season or at some point. And she's going to betray him. And he's going to be hurt so much by that betrayal that he will end up killing her. I think the betrayal of the person he loves and then his normal root of things, and he ends up killing her. That's what makes him the true kingpin. And that's when his life will turn. He'll just be like, okay, I'm just in it for me, whatever I can do to make me the best and not worry about the city or listening to kids sing 80 songs poorly or anything.
What was that?
He does not like singing.
I don't think he likes Starship. They kept singing, we built this city in like Latvian, if that's the language they sing.
Latvian,
and you could just see how irritated he was.
He has the same face.
That song irritates me too.
So. You know, whenever he goes to public events or when he says, I love New York, he's got this face like, I can't stand this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to betray who first? Do you think Vanessa will turn on Fisk, or do you think Fisk will turn on Vanessa?
Oh, Vanessa. Fisk, like I said, Fisk is seriously trying to do good. That's probably why he hasn't killed Adam. He's just like, well, I don't want this guy out there, but I'm trying to be good, so I don't want to kill him.
Crazy.
And, you know, so I think he is truly in love with Vanessa. He's not going to betray her, but she has plans of her own.
Well, he thinks he hasn't betrayed her, but when he promised her that he wouldn't kill Adam, I mean, he's taken this very literally. He's like, well, I won't kill him, but I'll keep him in a cage.
He kept his promise.
Like, is that really keeping your promise, though? I mean
to him, somebody
it's really
that evil,
skating the rules.
You know, that somebody that evil very well could be.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens with this Adam character. But I think that the show tried to give us some clues or something to think about. So at the end, notice they introduced this new villain, Muse, and they introduce him in parallel with shots of Fisk. They're both walking down, I think, into the subway, and they both keep victims down there. Muse has a victim that, you know, unconscious body that we figure out is still alive, and Fisk has Adam in a cage down there, and they're both paintings are involved in both, right? Fisk walks by that painting that he kept since the first season that got the blood splatter on it during his fight with Daredevil in the third season. He walks by that on the way to this room with Adam, and then at the same time, Muse carries his victim downstairs and starts draining his blood. And he does this because he uses the blood to make paintings, make murals. So you've got the subway, the blood. They're both draining someone's life, you know, metaphorically, or in Muse's case, literally. And they both have these paintings down there. So it's almost like there are two shades of the same character. It's like comparing two monsters per se. So that made me think that we're supposed to see Fisk as still a monster, but I don't know. And I almost expect that Vanessa's going to slowly figure this out. She said he does extreme things. That's very true. But man, she's going to be shocked when she finds Adam down there. That's more extreme than anything that she's seen him do in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you take away from the comparison of Fisk to Muse? Was there some kind of like secret message there that the show is trying to send us?
I mean, it's possible. I didn't catch it if they were, but I think just showing the parallels of different types of evil, maybe. Because I mean, yeah, he's locked up, and don't know how long Adam's been there, but is that just as bad, or is it a lot better than kidnapping some dude off the street and then start draining his blood just so you can go make some paintings?
Yeah, it's awfully interesting. I like that idea as a villain. That's scary. But I maybe I'm thinking too hard about this metaphor, but I was like, okay, so who's Fisk draining the life of? Is it Adam, or is it Vanessa, or is it both? Because I thought about Vanessa because she had this business, and he's kind of put her in a box, and basically taken away her passion and her business. Like, she's pretty much like a shell of a person since he came back into the picture. So I wondered if maybe he was like metaphorically draining the life from her, so she's gonna just explode. And that's why I theorize she's actually going to be the big bad of this season.
It's very possible, but you got to wonder who is Fisk's cohort, or who's helping him out. He's got a secret guy in there doing something, because who made the pasta and sausage that was sitting there for him?
Which looked really good.
I wondered that too. Like,
hey, he walked right up and it was sitting there hot and ready to go.
Yeah,
so there's somebody cooking for him who knows that Adam's there.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Making Adam cook it for him, which is weird.
Well, okay, so who is that guy that's basically in his mayoral job, the replacement for Wesley? Like, he obviously doesn't trust him as closely, but there's this one aide who's kind of a shady dude. I mean, that seems to be his new right-hand man.
The kid who screwed up?
No. There's another guy.
Oh, the one. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He's like a corrupt politician's aide.
Well, I think he's just like I'm blanking on the guy's name, who was so good in season 1, then they killed him off.
Wesley.
Wesley.
Oh yeah, just what you said. Yeah. So I think he's Wesley's replacement, and he's probably just as devious, but they haven't given him his scenes yet.
Oh man, but
he looks just like him. It's the same person, basically.
But he's not as like, man, Wesley, the way he was written was genius, and that actor was brilliant. But this guy, Daniel, I have a tough time with this character. I don't really like him because he's just like sucking up like the world's greatest brown noser. And I know he's written that way because we're probably not supposed to like him. But I mean, Wesley was awesomely unlikable, That's what I miss. So I hope they do something awesome with this character, but right now I'm just kind of like annoyed when I see him on screen. That's my hot take.
They'll get to it. I mean, he hasn't done much.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe he's a Martian, and that will change everything.
I hope not. I really hope not.
All right, well, let's move on to the Punisher's introduction here. So you guys have, well, Drew, you're the newbie to the series. You have only seen Daredevil season 1. You haven't seen much of the Punisher at all. Only this episode, right?
It's the first time you've seen the Punisher.
Yeah. Drew Doug and I have seen a lot more of Punisher. Just give me your first impressions of this character before I reveal a hot take.
Okay. Well, what I do know about him is I know he is a vigilante who uses extreme measures to get his point across, and I do believe that he actually will kill people. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Daredevil or the the movie with Dolph Lundgren. That's one of Drew's favorites.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. So he knows him pretty well.
I can sense the sarcasm.
Yeah. So I don't know. He I guess I don't really know what he's been up to since I didn't see him in the other Daredevil show. But it sounds to me like he says he's still active, like he's still planning on his next target. But I mean, is he not active right now? He just seems like a really grumpy dude. I don't want to say old dude. Yeah. He's my age. But a grumpy guy who's just, just mad at the world.
You're nailing it on the head right there. Basically, he is a traumatized character who wants to stay traumatized. Like he's just staying in grief, but he mentions guilt. I suppose he must feel guilty about either what happened to his family, because you know how his family died, probably from the comics and such. Like his family was murdered, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen that John Travolta movie?
No.
Okay, so yeah, his family's murdered, but he never grows out of his desire for vengeance, I guess, his trauma. Right. The thing that I found difficult is, this may be a hot take, but like, this is his 5th season of something to be on screen. He has 2 seasons of his own. He was in Daredevil season 2 and Defenders, and he still basically like verbally abuses his friends, like he's just like insulting them all the time. And I just thought, man, a 5th season of this character. I love this actor. I think he's great. I think he makes a great Punisher, and I do like Punisher, but like, I want to see some character growth. Like, I think they could have written this exchange between him and Matt a little bit differently. I don't know. What do you guys think? Well, like there was some powerful stuff there, but he's still an a-hole. Like, I think
he has to be. If you showed up in this season, I mean, knowing what I know about it, if he shows up and he's, hey, Matthew, how you been? I haven't seen you for. I mean, all of a sudden you're not the Punisher anymore. You're like, he can't be who he needs to be if he's going to be serving out some justice here. He can't be that, offering him some cookies or something like that, and it's the same thing that Matt's going through. Like, he can't be Daredevil unless he's a certain way, right? So that's why Matt's not Daredevil right now, because he's, so yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say character growth. I don't really know. I really don't know how you could grow the character unless you completely make him different than what he is.
Well, I mean, if you don't want him to get past this trauma, you want him to go out guns blazing. That's what we want to see out of the character, right? But like, can't he like become bros with his bros and like confront? He's going to be a combative character, but can't he confront them in a little bit more of a nicer way that shows he cares about you?
I don't think he can, mainly because he believes it's his fault that his wife and son died. And I think he sees himself as, I deserve to get punished. I deserve to be alone. I deserve to not have friends. Because I let my family die. So, I think he's just like, I don't want any friends. I don't want a life. My life is mourning my family and killing bad guys. And that's all I need.
Yeah, that's an unhappy place to be. I guess I can see that.
But he was still being a friend, even though he was being kind of mean. He was kind of opening up Murdoch's eyes when he's just like, you can't even say his name. You haven't gotten over this. You can't get over this. You need this in your life. And I think they have a very parallel. Punisher is much more brutal, but Daredevil is all about revenge in most cases. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's exactly what Matt is struggling with right here. Like, the guilt. He's probably has guilt that he didn't kill Bullseye, and at the same time, guilt that he tried to kill Bullseye. I
Mhm.
mean, that's an interesting place to be because he almost can't decide if he should be like a villain or a hero. And he's like caught right in the middle. He's like, I don't deserve to be Daredevil right now because, I might cross the line again. But yet part of him wishes he could cross that line because in his mind, and maybe it's true, like justice, like true justice has not been served.
Right.
But I did wonder, he says, hey man, I know you hear Foggy's voice. Like, what is that about? Like, we haven't heard anything about this. I don't know if that's taken literally or not, because there's some fan theories out there, because Marvel, I don't know why, has already said Foggy's coming back in season 2, which I think could be a flashback. But there's a fan theory out there that maybe Foggy's going to come back as like a ghost or like with some kind of powers based on what Punisher said. I think that's a little bit out there, but what do you guys think?
I think that's taken that a little too literally. When he says you hear his voice, it's mostly like you can still remember him. You can still hear him. Like, I hear my son. I can still hear my son's voice.
That's how I took it too.
It's almost like it's not your kind of like your conscience or something like that, but it's just, his son is telling him to get revenge on the people who did this to me. And I think that's what he's saying is you're hearing Foggy because you haven't done anything about it. You've done nothing. So
Well, what does he
you're
want
going
him
to
to
continue to
do?
hear that. You didn't
Kill Bullseye?
You didn't get revenge on the guy who killed me.
Or you weren't able to save Foggy.
Or you weren't able to save me. He got life in prison. And I like how Punisher came back with, and he breathes the same air that you breathe. Like, he gets his food, he gets all this other stuff. So really, what did he get?
Well, this episode really pushed that whole lawful, unlawful debate, because the whole thing with him and that thief who stole a couple boxes of fiddle faddle, which I haven't heard of in years.
I've never heard of fiddle faddle.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was yeah. What's
really?
that?
Caramel corn? Is that what it was?
Caramel corn is what it was back in the day. Similar to Cracker Jacks without peanuts, but I guess they have more flavors now, so that was kind of cool to see that. But that whole exchange between the guy who was arrested and Matt, that was a rough thing to watch, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, he's a thief, send him to jail. But then listening to them talk, it's like, okay, wait, I need to take a step back, because I've never been there. I've been broke. I've been having to borrow money, but I've never been to the point where I need to find something in the trash to eat or end up stealing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been that low. And it's like, okay, how do I feel about that, thinking about it in that sense? And I don't think I can, because, again, I've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
So, the kind of debates that they were going on with good and bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's lawful, what's unlawful, like he said, I stole $20 worth of caramel corn, but they're going to spend 10 times that much putting me away, actually probably a lot more, putting me away for a week.
The way they
stress us about that.
The way they wrote that debate was pretty genius, because first they start telling you that he's got this history and he's been arrested, like 30 times? I can't remember.
Times.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they reveal that, when he went to jail at one point, he didn't show up for an appointment, I assume with his probation officer or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost.
Go ahead. It was his appointment to get his food stamps. I think you said SSI.
They cut them. Yeah, I didn't know what SSI was, but thank you for letting me know. But so they cut his food stamps, and then you're like, oh, like, well, then he had to steal, or felt like he had to. I mean, maybe there is some other way, but it just seemed like, you're against this guy, and then the way it's written, they pull the ace out of their sleeve, and suddenly you're like, oh, like, I understand. Like, they flip the perspective on you. and just really make you process what that guy may have gone through. I thought that was really smart writing. And so was the scene where Matt was arguing his sentence down. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It really opened your eyes, because I know if I ever got to that situation, I could go to either one of your places and can I at least sleep on a couch for a little while? And you guys would help me out. And there's 10 other people in my life who would do that as well. I'm not saying you let me live there permanently, but you would definitely, help. And this guy obviously doesn't have that. And that's where it's just like, and then it took me back, because the whole time I was like, what are they pushing? It's on video. He stole it. So he pay what he's due and be gone. But again, the way they wrote that scene and everything, I thought they did a really good job with that. That was pretty powerful.
What is that going to mean moving forward? Like how does that connect to the larger plot? Did that just happen so that he would run into Powell again?
I think it has to do with the whole debate on what is good and evil. I mean, are vigilantes good? A lot of people will say no. A lot of people will say yes. And that's kind of the debate, what's lawful and what's unlawful, and how do we figure out a nice medium for that? Because again, like he said, it's on camera. There's a witness. The police caught him with the stolen goods, all this stuff. And then yet he's still like, well, I'm still in the right here. And it's like, okay, is that the same case for vigilantism as well? So
yeah. Well, and I think we're supposed to take it from that interaction with Powell. Daredevil heard his heartbeat. I think he knows Powell did not kill Hector, right? Am I right?
Right.
And I'm just assuming they didn't show him like listening to Punisher's heartbeat, but I assume like Daredevil would have done that, right? So does that mean we should scratch Punisher off the table too?
I don't think it was Punisher.
I don't either.
No, I think it was one of his copycats, one of his, like he said, a fan did it.
Or Fisk doesn't like those guys either.
Yeah.
Like I said, Fisk could do it and make it look
Plus,
like it was Punisher.
I keep forgetting his name, but the intern, he was out late.
Daniel?
Yeah, there's no way that Daniel. Oh man,
is Daniel Muse?
No, Muse was really skinny.
Okay.
But was Daniel could have been the guy thinking that that's what Fisk wanted, because Fisk doesn't want vigilantes around.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's so probably not, but I mean, that's
several mysteries here to explore over the next few episodes. We still don't know who killed Hector. We know Fisk and Vanessa are probably going to blow up somehow, but we don't know who's really going to be the big bad, how that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen to cause Matt to put on the Daredevil suit again. We're 4 episodes in and no Daredevil since that opening scene. It's still a really great show to me. I don't know how you guys feel, but very intense with no Daredevil yet. So
yeah, I mean, you give me a good story. I don't need to see people getting beat up constantly.
Yeah, that's fairly impressive to make it that that solid, and to realize there hasn't been hardly any actual action.
Right.
All right, everybody. Well, we are going to cover the next episode, so subscribe, and we'll be covering that live. You can throw your comments in, and we'll talk about them. And we've covered every episode of season 1 on our channel, except the last 2. We will have them out soon. But yes, check our channel out if you want to break down that season with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later.